So welcome to my podcast. This is my podcast that originates from the great old USA. Albany, New York is where I'm actually doing this from. And this is so interesting to me, and it's been interesting all along because I'm talking with my good friend Zain. It's Butt, correct? I still never know how you pronounce your last, right? So,
you can say Abidin, Zainullah Abidin.
Abidin, right? But I see you shortened it for your email address. So it's Zain Abidin and AARON LINGTON.
Yep, AARON LINGTON. That's it.
Okay, great. This is probably going to be the only thing I get right are the names. Everything this goes downhill from here. And this is a talent podcast, and boy, have I found talent here. So I think we're going to start out. I know we've already been on before, Zain, but for folks that don't know, maybe we could start there with you just really quickly. How did we meet, and why are we all here? I guess that's the best thing, and it all circles around you because you're the organizer. So,
right. So all of us met on a Facebook group for Logic Pro. It's a audio recording software, right? So I just messaged. I think I put down a post that I'm looking for collaborators for my original song, and then I shared it with Richie and with Aaron. And you guys, I guess you guys like the song, and I'm so humbled by your reaction and how you guys were so willing to collaborate and participate, and considering you guys are so experienced in the field and have so much to show for, and I have nothing. And thank you so much.
No. I've got to correct you. I don't have the experience in the field. The guy in that lower box has the experience. So, did you even know that Aaron was a Grammy Award winner when you connected with him?
No. I just found out about that like a few days ago.
Oh,
when I read his bio, and I was, my mind was blown, and I just messaged her, and I say I did not expect like a Grammy winner to be such a down-to-earth and humble person, and collaborating with new artists like me.
Yes, this is incredible. Now, Aaron, where are you? What state are you in? Not mental state. I mean, what state are you in?
I'm in a great mental state right now, honestly. since you're asking, I'm calling in from San Jose, California. This is my office. I teach at San Jose State University, which is one of the campuses of the California State University system here in California. I'm not a native Californian. I'm a native Texan. I'm from Houston, Texas.
Oh.
But I've been living here in the Bay Area for 20 years, teaching here.
Interesting. But you're primarily a jazz artist. Would you consider yourself primarily jazz?
I would consider myself primarily a jazz artist, and maybe 80% jazz artist and 20% classical artist. I still do a lot of classical saxophone playing, and but I like all kinds of good creative music, whatever the genre is. If it's honest and good music, I love it. So it's and I try to get involved with anything that I can that's of a high quality and of a very honest nature.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because when Zain and I first met, I told him, I don't know if you know this, but I worked on a country station. I'm not a country lover specifically, but I like all kinds of music as well. So when he said, I'd like you to be on a song that I'm sending you from Pakistan, I had my own preconceived notions of what that kind of music was. And when he sent it to me, I went, oh my God, it's this gorgeous ballad. Did you feel the same way? Did you have a preconceived notion, Aaron, of what it was going to be like when you got the song?
I actually didn't. I mean, when I was trying to think back to that initial post in the Logic group, when the pandemic hit, and I never knew how to use any DAW, whatever you want to call it.
Oh,
I paid engineers to deal with all that stuff. You know what I mean? But when all the gigs shut down and everybody was sitting at home, and I was, my wife was getting on my case in a good way about, you need to find something to do to occupy your time. And my wife is a musician also, but she, I was I was really antsy about not having things to do. So I started messing around with Logic and learning how to use it the best I could and getting some better microphones, et cetera, et cetera. And so I joined that Logic group on Facebook, and I just thought this will be a great place to maybe ask questions if I couldn't figure out how to do something or whatever. And then I saw Zain's post, and I was looking for collaborators, and for me, I'm always willing to try something. It's just like, yeah, I'll sure, whatever. Like let's just see what happens. Worst case scenario, if I thought that it was something that I could not contribute to in a meaningful way, I could have just apologized to him and said, I'm sorry for wasting your time, and maybe there's someone else who's a better fit.
Same here.
Yeah, but when he sent me the rough track and stuff, I was like, oh man, I can totally add something to this that will contribute in a meaningful way to what he had done already. And when I heard the final result, I was really blown away. It sounds wonderful.
Oh, it's incredible. And really, Zain, you started this song. I don't know. You've been working on this for a couple of years, basically, right?
Yeah, yeah. Even before I posted on Facebook, there was a rough version of the song on YouTube, and I saw your comment there on another video that you've heard this song, but the arrangement is different. So I've been working on this song for quite some years now, and finally it's releasing on 15th October, and I'm so glad that it is.
Yeah.
And Aaron's contribution was just great. Like here in Pakistan, there are musicians, when you ask them to play something on your song, let's say I ask a piano player to play something for me on the song, they would go like all like
Right.
all right,
Which
so
I can't do.
So Aaron's part and your part, they were just great. They were really accompanying the song, like they weren't overpowering the song.
Interesting.
So that's what I liked about both your parts in the song.
Yeah.
But Aaron, that's your experiences. You're not only, let me see here, according to your bio, which I didn't want to look at beforehand, but I ended up doing it. It says composer, arranger, and educator. So, I mean, you are an arranger as well. So you were looking at it from an arrangement point of view. What can I add to not overshadow Zain singing or my playing?
Yeah. I mean, I play saxophone with a lot of vocalists over my lifetime. I've played with a lot of vocalists. And if the song is not about the saxophone, well, then it's not about the saxophone, and that's fine. And you have to figure out a way where, like I mentioned before, I could add something meaningful. So it's like, what can I play that will raise the level of the piece without overpowering the most important thing about it, which is Zain's voice and the lyrics. And so I just basically my process for it was simply listening to it in my home studio, and I would actually just play it on my monitors, not on the headphone. I played it on the monitors without Logic running, and I just played along, just sort of noodled along and try to figure out where it would make sense for me to play something or lay out. And then when I felt like I had a pretty good sense of it, then I think I did maybe 2 or 3 passes on it, and decided on the best one and sent that off to Zain. And correct me if I'm wrong, Zain, I think I just said, I hope this works. Feel free to delete anything that is too much or whatever. And I think the way that it got mixed in there sounds really, really good.
Right. It was same with Richie as well. There were no to and fro recordings and corrections. It was the same for both of you. You just played a piece, you sent it to me, and I laid it on the song, and it sounds perfect.
Yeah,
it's funny because my wife listened to it last night again, and she said, "I can't hear you," and I said, "Good," because I want that's good. It fills it out, but it's not overshadowing. You wouldn't expect me to be doing a solo in it.
Right. I wanted the piano to be a little louder, but I think it comes at the right place on the second verse. It starts with the piano, so it gives its own presence. And same for the saxophone.
Did you envision a saxophone on it in the beginning, or is that something you added later? is a saxophone not acceptable instrument in Pakistan, but I mean, is it a normal? I don't picture saxophonists in Pakistan because of my notion of the music. You know what I mean?
Right. A saxophone is played in a couple of songs here, but a very specific type of songs, very romantic, lovey-dovey songs. There
Right.
is, yeah, but not in songs like this. And I hadn't envisioned saxophone in the song as well, but I don't know how we got to that. I think the post was related to anything you can play, anything you can contribute. And I think Aaron said I play the saxophone, and then I imagined the saxophone with the song, and I was like, yeah, it definitely needs saxophone.
Now, we're all musicians, but we're not the greatest marketers. We haven't even explained what the name of your song is and where to get it. You know, I'm trying I'm trying to make you a little money here. So maybe you haven't told anybody the name of the song, Zain, so go ahead.
Right. The name of the song is Aarzoo. So Aarzoo is basically wish or desire. So it's a Urdu song, but the arrangement and the music is so that you don't really need to understand the language to enjoy the song.
Do you agree with that?
But you guys can tell better about that because you worked on the song. And
do you agree with that, Aaron? Do you agree that you don't really have to know the meaning? That the music
I don't think you do. I mean, I don't speak the language, you know, and but when I listen to the song, there's this feeling of hopefulness and longing. And you know, I think the overall meaning embedded deep within the song comes through regardless of the language that it is sung in.
And you sent me a video then of you playing it out live, and boy, the response from the audience was unbelievable.
Right.
How many times have you done it live besides that gig?
This version I've only performed once, the video I shared with you guys. Like, right. Before that, I was the old version, the live simple acoustic version, I've played like 2-3 times, but this was the first time I played this version. And mostly it was track and I was doing live vocals on it. So, and people really enjoyed it.
Now, you've released it on the streaming platforms, right? Spotify and so forth. How does that work in Pakistan if you wanted to try to get it on Pakistani radio? I mean, we have Billboard, we have, you know, we have the rating services. What do they have there? And how are you?
I think I'll just have to message the hosts on Instagram or Facebook or find their emails and just email them separately, everyone. So there's no one service. There are some services, but I don't trust them.
So you're just going straight ahead with streaming, and that's it. Like what's happening in America, right? Right, Aaron? I mean,
that's right.
Yeah, because I did country radio for 30 years. I was a morning co-host on a country radio station. And what's interesting, when I was reading your bio, that you spent a lot of time, when you just said, in Texas. Are you interested in country music at all?
I am very much so. I love country music, especially the older type, like Willie Nelson and things like that. You know, those songs, a great country song tells a really great story. And so I love the craft of the songwriting and the lyrics from that aspect of country music. And then the instrumental aspect, like steel guitar or flat picking, steel string guitar and stuff. I mean, that's a high level of artistry there that is also improvisatory in nature. And there's a lot of parallels between that kind of playing in country music and bluegrass and jazz.
Really?
Have a lot of similarity with the way that you approach playing. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you said that, because we went to a radio conference when I was on the air. We met all these radio personalities from all over the country, and they're all insane. And at night they had a round table from country songwriters, and they sat in a semicircle, and they were like, "Well, guys, before we play our hits, let's give them a little bit." And they went into this classical piece of music. They all played classical, unbelievable keyboard, piano player, guitar. And when they were finished, they're like, and then they went, They really wanted to show that they are just accomplished musicians in Nashville. I mean, yeah.
a lot of those guys really are, man. I mean, they're just so solid. And I have a number of friends of mine who are these really great jazz guitar players who live in Nashville, and they do studio work, for country artists. And it's, yeah, I think it's like, it's just, it's related very closely, that all those playing styles. So
Zen, is country music a thing there? I know we've talked about it.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But
No?
I like country music. Yeah. But I think there's a little niche. So some people like me probably do like country music, but not a lot. I don't think so.
So if somebody came out with a country version of Aarzoo, you wouldn't like it?
No, I would like it. I like country music, but I'm not really I don't really follow musicians, follow bands, but I like specific songs, like a very typical song by I think John Denver,
Uh-huh.
"Country Roads Take Me Home." I
Right.
love that song. Right, I
Uh-huh.
love that song. It's beautiful.
It's
And
simple. Simplicity.
yeah, I've never been to West Virginia, but whenever I listen to that song, I start missing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And Aaron, I didn't want to do it, but I did it. I went on Apple Music and I heard some cuts that you were on. What's interesting to me with improvisational music, where there's really no, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm just speaking as a not a novice musician, but a uneducated musician. There's no hook, there's no chorus necessarily to some of the improvisational pieces, right? When you're playing jazz, there's no place that it returns to. It's improvisational,
right. Yeah, I mean, you're improvising over a form, right? You know what I mean? So whatever the form of the piece may be, song form like AABA or ABAB, something like that. It's a lot of tunes are 32 bar song forms. Not all of them. I mean, my original pieces that I write, I tend to write different form lengths, but you are improvising over a set form. So it's just strophic. You go however long it is, 40 measure long form or whatever, bar 1 through 40, whatever the chord changes are, you're improvising. And when you get to the end of bar 40, you go back to bar 1, do it again, play through again. And, what you're trying to do there is, obviously navigate the harmony while you're improvising. Hopefully play some really nice lyrical things that someone listening to it finds enjoyable. But I mean, jazz music is it's a very niche kind of music, and it appeals to a certain kind of listener. And it's definitely a type of art music, and in a lot of ways, I do it because I enjoy it, and I do it just for the sake of doing it. And people that like it, great. And anyone who is not able to hear it, well, I hope somehow they come across it and listen to it at some point.
Mm-hmm. And you're teaching as well. Do you find the students of today, are they as serious about it as you were in school? I mean,
well, yeah, the students who are serious, who really know that they want to pursue this in some way as a career, whether they're only performing or whether they're performing and teaching, or whether I've had students come through the music program here, finish a degree, and we're here in Silicon Valley, and then they go work for Apple or something, right? Which is right. I mean, it's only 5 miles from here, the app, Apple.
Really?
Yeah. And they get a job there doing whatever they do. I've had students go to law school. They get a music degree and then they go to law school and become a lawyer. And I've had students play the main stage of the Monterey Jazz Festival. So, I mean, I've had students do all kinds of different things. And at the very least, what I'm hoping to do is when a student finishes the program here, that they are a lifelong appreciator of music, and they have a skill set that allows them to be successful doing it if they choose to really pursue it in the long term.
And Zain, you've had no formal training in music, right?
No, I don't even have any informal training. I just
well, that's a talent. And so when you learned, you don't read music? Because I don't read it either.
No, I can't read music. So I learned to play the guitar from YouTube. I learned how to sing from YouTube. So YouTube is my teacher.
Amazing. YouTube University.
It's amazing. I worked here for a couple of years in a piano store, and these kids would come in and they play like Take Five, dun, 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 dun. Play the entire piece. And I said, "Where'd you learn that?" YouTube. That's,
Yeah.
By ear. Yeah, YouTube it's powerful. It really is.
Yeah.
So the best videos on YouTube are found on the middle or last pages in the search. So when you search for something on the first few pages, you'll all see little bit of information, and then buy this and buy that, and then you will get the full course. But as you progress through the pages, you find more and more valuable information for free. So
that's a great point. Yeah. That's true.
Do you find kids go to college there? That are there any students that say, "Listen, I just can't read music," but and then you watch, then he'll sit down and play like an unbelievable piece? I mean, are they still accepted in the college if they can only do it by ear?
No, not really. I mean, not at the higher education level. When we have students who want to come into the program here, most of those students have been playing anywhere between 6 to 8 years already. You know, they're coming in at 18 years old, and they all read music. They may not read music really, really well, like at a super, super high level, but they all can read music and play their instruments pretty well. Because, I mean, we have a certain level we want them to get to after 4 years of being here for a degree. And so when I'm hearing an 18-year-old play, I'm trying to think to myself, can we get them to the level they need to be at in 4 years from now?
Now I'm jumping around, but I have another couple of questions there for Aaron, because I saw on your bio that you worked with. Did you work with Doc Severinsen?
Yeah, I have a few different times. Yeah. When, you know, he had retired for a number of years after the Tonight Show, and he had moved like to Mexico or somewhere and was living down there, and he wasn't really playing. And then I'm trying to remember what year it was. This was probably 10 or 12 years ago, but he came out of retirement. He had a relationship with the Minneapolis Symphony or Minneapolis Philharmonic or whatever they call it. And anyway, he was coming out of retirement, and I'm not exactly sure how he had gotten to know this drummer named Stockton Helbing. And Stockton is a very old friend of mine, a really, really great big band drummer. He's a great jazz drummer anyway, but he's a great big band drummer. He was Maynard Ferguson's last drummer. This guy, Stockton Helbing. And so anyway, Doc was going to come out of retirement and do this tour again. And he was going to rehearse for 3 days in Minneapolis and then do a number of gigs in Minneapolis. We did like 3 or 4 nights in Minneapolis, and then they were going to go on the road. And I had told the personnel manager, I said, look, it was in the middle of the semester here. I said, I can get off for a week, but I can't. This whole tour was going to be like 5 weeks long. I was like, I can't miss. That's a third of the semester, right? It's like I can't just not work for a third of the semester. So I did that first week, and then they found another player for the rest of the tour. And then Doc has done a few things here in the Bay Area, and I've been hired to play with him when he's been here in the Bay Area. He's still a wonderful player.
We got to explain it to Zain. He was the band leader for the biggest night show we ever had in America. Have you ever heard of the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson? Oh, you know Johnny Carson? He was like the greatest talk show host. And he was the band leader and he's like 90, he's over 90 years old now, right?
Yeah, he is. And they had actually hired for that same gig there in Minneapolis that Ernie Watts was playing in the saxophone section, sitting right next to me, which was a lot of fun too. And Ernie, of course, had been in the band with Doc on the Tonight Show band.
Wow. Incredible. I was reading something about, for musicians, music is really important for the brain function. I learned that also in the piano store. They have a thing on the wall that shows that people that study music, they do better in math and so forth, and how music is so good that you should, even if you played like 15 minutes a day, it stimulates the brain or whatever. But they also said you don't even have to be playing an instrument, that you can just think about the chords that you're playing and it's good for the brain? I have to ask both of you. Do you believe that? Do you think that? Well, you being a professor, is there any truth to that?
I do believe that. I think I think it activates certain problem solving areas of your brain and thinking about how to connect things that might not be you might not think obviously that they're connected, but it allows you to think about how to connect things. And even off of your instrument, I like if I'm working toward an album, I'm going to be recording where I'm improvising and I'm thinking about some chord changes or whatever. I'll be riding like my exercise bike or something like that, just trying to get some exercise in. And I don't have my instrument with me, but I can be thinking about these chords. I can even move my fingers in the way that I need to. And it absolutely activates my brain doing that, even off the instrument.
Interesting. So, Zain,
I'm just here to listen you guys talk.
No, I'm trying to get you in here too. In fact, I have questions for you.
No. I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm just enjoying it. I'm the first person in the audience, in your audience.
No.
Aaron and Richie's podcast, and I have the honor to be.
I'm just a lousy interviewer, and I can't seem to split up the question. Well, who are your musical influences, either in Pakistan or, I mean, who would be like the most famous musician in Pakistan that you want to emulate after? Like for me, it's the Beatles or Elton John or Billy Joel being a piano player. Who would it be for you for a guitar player?
I don't have any influences in Pakistan. So as you can see, my music is more inspired by Western music.
Yeah.
So I really like Freddie Mercury, and I really like Guns N' Roses.
I like it too.
Right. And I like Elton John's songs, some of the songs. And so it's mostly Western influence on my music, and I want to do more music like that, like you guys do. And not really much influenced by Pakistani music.
But did you get any pushback from people? Like they're saying, why are you listening to Western music? Is there any pressure to do more Pakistani, quote unquote Pakistani?
No. There is no pressure, but definitely there is less audience of the kind of music that I like to do.
Oh,
right. So there's a whole other audience for the more Bollywood type of music. I don't like to do that kind of music. So yeah, it's not pushback technically in the literal sense, but pushback in terms of less response for my music.
Now, rap music is a huge genre here.
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
Do you see rap music as an influence? Has it crept in, influence-wise?
Right. Yeah. It's. I think it's a wave that has swept the globe. Everywhere it's rap. Even in Pakistan, India, everywhere it's right. Yeah. Pakistan is affected by the rap COVID.
Have you ever done anything, Aaron, with like a jazz piece that's influenced with rap, like a rap jazz? What would they call it? Raz?
Yeah,
I think it's called Raz. Rap jazz.
Yeah, what it usually ends up being, I have not personally, like with my own projects, done that, but I have, as a sideman, been on some projects that guys get like some elements of hip hop in what's going on. So I've done a number of things where there's maybe a 5 or 6 piece band, and then there's also a guy doing turntable and someone rapping or whatever. So I have done some of that out here in California.
That's interesting. Yeah, it stretches.
Yeah.
Stretches your time.
I mean, it's not really my wheelhouse necessarily. There's a lot about it I don't understand. But like I say before, it's like if I feel like it's of quality and I feel like I'm gonna have fun, if I feel like I can add something to it, then I'm happy to give it a try.
Sure. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Now this says we have 1 minute and 10 seconds left. So what do you want to do? I think we have to go back to work.
I think we should consider this as the end of the call. Let's say our goodbyes in case we can't start a new meeting.
That's good. Yeah. I'm really enjoying this conversation. I could do a whole podcast on either of you. I just thought it'd be kind of interesting to get it together since we all worked on this project. And if this is the end of the call, I really appreciate your time. And now I got to go back to my son's dog again. And no, congratulations on the work that you're doing, Aaron. And Zain, your song. I really hope that I'd love more people to hear it here.
Yeah.
You can add the pre-save link in your podcast. So some people might save it.
I definitely will. Well, it looks like this is shutting me down here. So,
well, it was my pleasure to collaborate with you guys. Thank you so much.
Really enjoyed it, and thank you, and loved your playing.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Richie.
Okay. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Zain. Nice to meet you, Richie.
Nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you too.